had a few sessions this morning. Obviously, this event that we're organizing, it's also the opportunity to reflect a little bit on crypto and our journey and how this also is happening in parallel of the maturation of the industry. So, just like a quick reminder on who we are, and we've been doing this for 6 years. We are data platform for accounting operations and compliance. We're working with large organizations like Circle, and we're working with them and building the technology that can help these businesses grow and operate in a compliant way. The market obviously evolved a lot in the last 6 years. When we started in 2018, from 2018 to 2022, I think I call like this phase like kind of the discovery phase. And so there were a lot of different use cases, and there was a lot of like new things. It was very experimental. The very first like CeFi exchanges actually started to burst, like with Mongox. We started to saw the first stable coins, so like with Tether that was live first on this weird blockchain called Omni. We're starting to see the rise of ICOs and them popping up and then disappearing. We saw DeFi summer where people were interacting directly with these new DeFi protocols that they can leverage to do a bunch of different cool things like lending and swapping and all that type of stuff. And then everything burst with the CeFi implosion, and that phase of like discovery and iterations finished really with like very strong regulatory backlash. And during this phase, kind of believed that the first wave of crypto adoption would be distributed, decentralized, self-custodial. Obviously, the CeFi implosion at the end was kind of, there's a lot of people that says, yeah, like the world should be self-custodial, look at these platforms. And DeFi Summer was a good example of this, that you can directly interact with these products. And so we built the first version of our product. And the first version of our product that we called Ionic was basically about tracking transactions on chain from these different protocols and computing basis and pushing that data to the accounting systems that the accountants of the early stage companies were using. So that was really like the beginning. And then the market grew, and from 23 to 24, this is more like the maturity stage. So the period before, so obviously ended up with the CeFi implosion, but also it was the end of the bull market, and a lot of companies raised quite a lot of money, maybe a little bit more than what they should have. And investors were demanding more and more robust reporting as the revenue scale, and also as these companies have to control their runway. And we're starting to see during this phase, during this maturation phase, a lot of like best practices being built in terms of like reporting, in terms of audits. We're working with a lot of auditors active in the space, more like small firms, but also like big four, like KPMG. And we've seen a lot of like good best practices and toolings and things being built during that period. And we started to see more and more like crypto businesses, successful businesses going through these financial statement audits. And this is when we tried to build that gap between the obligations of these businesses to be audited and like the lack of technology. And so we built the second version of our product, which was called Colossal, and the focus of that version of that product was really focused on the internal controls. So how can you do accounting, track things, and push that to your accounting system, but how can you do this in a way that the accountants and the auditors that would audit your business can trust? And so there's a bunch of new features and things that we built, and this is really like a collaborative efforts with finance teams and audit firms that we are working with. And now we entering into this new phase, that might be the growth phase, that might be the adoption phase. And what we see is that today crypto companies are held to the same standards as traditional businesses in terms of financial controls and reporting. And even as Jeremy said, they should lead by example. So it's when we started, the vibe was, yeah, we don't need to do accounting. This is the reason why we're in crypto. Obviously, this vibe kind of doesn't exist anymore. And what we are seeing is that although a lot of these new companies are this new wave of adoption is really led by custodial regulated products. We talked about this morning about institutional products being launched, and we started to see that some of them, like Bitcoin Spot ETF, had a lot of traction. And we're seeing that also regulation by enforcement in the US is painful, but running its course. And in other parts of the world, you have some clearer regulatory frameworks. And these frameworks and all of this is to regulate one part of the market, which is mostly around custodial regulated products. And when I say custodial regulated products, I mean CeFi exchanges, broker-dealers, stablecoin, banks, on and off ramps, ETFs, obviously. So companies that are products or companies that are in a way or another, holding, managing assets on behalf of customers, in a way or another have obligations to report on the liability, on the reserve, or on something. And so we believe that these regulated enterprises will set the standard for financial reporting and compliance. And we believe also, which is something that something that changed in how we think about that market, that the next billion users will be onboarded via these regulated enterprise. And so this is when comes the third generation of our product, where we focused on internal controls and doing things in an auditable way. We focused on new areas that these regulated enterprise care about, which are, I'll come back in more deeply into this, but reconciliation. How do you reconcile data sets not only from the chains but from various sources? How do you do this in a very high volume transaction environment? And at the end of the day, it's not just about accounting, it's also about regulatory reporting. And so how can my back office infrastructure can help me do all these things? And that's basically what this third generation of crypto is about. But all of this to say, no one deserves to be rugged. And the industry needs the tools to ensure financial integrity across the board. And that's really our mission. Crypto is to elevate financial integrity and works with the best companies like Circle and build that together. And so this is our third generation of product. It's the new platform for the regulated enterprise. And we prepared you a little video and presentation of what this looks like. It's not because we care about accounting and taxes that we can't do sexy marketing videos. So this is Cryptio Bedrock, third generation of our product. We basically focus on three pillars: reconciliation, scalability, and compliance. On the first one, reconciliation, historically the Cryptio product suite has been built on a data layer. And basically what this data layer is that we think that because blockchains are public, there is a need for a source of truth for enterprise, for blockchain data used for enterprise back office. What it means is that when you are in the traditional world, you're consuming private data, banking data, data coming from payment networks, and you don't really ask yourself the question is how can I trust the data that my bank is giving me? But given that in this world, you're consuming public data, you kind of have to ask yourself the question. And at the end of at the end of the chain, when the auditor will look at your books, they will ask themselves a question like, how could you trust the on-chain data that you used to build your financials? And for the last 6 years, this is basically what we've been building. We've been building this data infrastructure focused for these enterprise back office and reporting and audit use cases by running all the data infrastructure ourselves. So this is what we've been building, and this is all the reconciliation tooling that we're releasing with this like third generation platform are leveraging this. But maybe before we talk about that, we wanted to have like a quick word from Marissa from Mufalco, who has been using this data to audit, leading crypto platforms and exchanges. So Marissa, if you want to come on stage, we can have a look, Marissa. On. This is not working.
Everyone hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, much better. Hi, everyone. Again, my name is Marissa with Wolf & Company. And so we've been partnering with Cryptio for a little over a year now. And we've used the Cryptio tool for many of our audits over the past year, whether it be exchanges, miners, wallet providers, ATM companies, investment companies, kind of the whole gamut across the industry. And what we do with the Cryptio tool right now is that we are able to reconcile the client's data to Cryptio data in order to perform existence and valuation procedures. So as auditors, we're required to confirm that our clients' records are true and accurate, and that the data that they're providing us, specifically for the blockchain transactions, that the asset exists, and that we can compare it to on-chain data as well as valuation. So we use Cryptio and leverage that reconciliation tool to make sure that what our client is reporting to us in terms of the existence and valuation assertion actually reconciles to the blockchain data and to pricing data that's available through the Cryptio platform. So that's a little bit about how we use Cryptio now. I'm excited to hear about the future of how we might be able to leverage this tool even further.
Thank you very much, Marissa. Thank you. Thank you very much. So this is the foundation. And so basically we want to extend the scope a little bit. We're extending the scope with Bedrock. So the reconciliation problems that we are looking at is basically that data ingestion and reconciliations across system is very challenging. You need to have your trades and liquidity provider data that you need to reconcile with customer wallets. For instance, if you're a broker dealer, your corporate wallets. In most cases, you have an internal database, and so how can you implement reconciliation workflows between all of these different sources, and what is the source of truth also that you can leverage. So that's one part of the problem. And essentially what you're facing is like lack of quality blockchain data, which is something that we've been focused on for quite a while. Lack of reference data to identify across systems. Like if you have the same data in your internal database and on Coinbase, for instance, like how can you match the two elements and reconcile the two elements? Very unstructured internal systems that have been built like from in a very iterative way, and sometimes you have like legacy systems that are very difficult to play with and work with, and no easy way to identify discrepancies. So these are kind of all the problems that we're trying to focus on and trying to solve. And Bedrock automates reconciliation workflows to solve all of these problems. And not only it automates the reconciliation workflows, but it helps you get to the root of the discrepancies quickly. By looking at the discrepancy type, asset volume, timestamp, valuation, looking at where the reconciliation break on which source, et cetera, et cetera. So it helps you to go very deeply at a very granular level, but also you can also do it directly with your system. So Cryptio is like a one big platform, like a SaaS platform that you're interacting with through a UI, but it's not only this anymore. With this new generation platform, we're releasing API-only product that you can use, exchanges can use, payment platforms can use to automate reconciliations directly with their internal system. So that's a big product that that we are very excited to announce today. This is we talked about SAB 121 today quite a lot, and this is a very important product for companies to be able to comply with like some SAB 121 reporting requirements that they have. And this helps you do this at scale because you can do this directly with your system. It's built to monitor and reconcile for more than 500 million wallets and reconcile customer wallets balances against internal systems and do that in a real-time way on a daily frequency at the transaction level or at the balance level. That's the first piece, the reconciliation. The second piece is around scalability. So that's the big innovation that Bedrock is bringing. Problem is basically it's like heavy operations. It computes very heavy operations like data ingestions, cost basis computation, filtering. Working with the data is really something that is difficult when the business grows and when there's like high transaction volume, and so it often breaks. And we've experienced it through our product. We've seen that for companies that are trying to do it internally, and what we've seen is like really in-house system can't cope with it, with the scale. Excel definitely can't cope with it. You can't have more than 1 million row on an Excel sheet, so difficult to scale. And frankly, and that's kind of the little competitors can't cope with it also. We wanted to have this here in case you have a few names in mind, but they can't cope with it. So what we've built is new tech primitives that allow us to unlock all these performance blockers. So when it comes to data ingestion, we have 80x faster ingestion than the previous generation of our product. And talking again about our competitors, what we're seeing is like 200, 300x faster than the top other vendors. So these like new primitives that we introduce things with this Cryptio Bedrock are really like unlocking a lot on what you can do on the data ingestion side. And it's not just about ingesting, it's about being able to ingest everything, like all of these different parameters that exist in your system that you need to replicate in ours in order to do things in the most granular way. Then it's about data ingestion, but it's also about loading time. Like you have data within the system, you need to manipulate it. Like if you have millions of transactions and you want to run cost basis, like someone asked a question around cost basis this morning, it takes really a lot of time to load all that data and to compute that and to filter the transactions. And so this new tech primitive that we're calling search service is also introducing incredible improvements when it comes to loading time. And so we're saying like half a second to filter on 1 million transactions with like 5 different parameters, which takes way longer with the previous version of the platform as well as some other competitors. So if you want kind of an analogy on what that means, it means that like some people are working, some others like our old versions of ourselves are like cycling, and the new crypto is basically like F-22 Raptor that is flying and unlocking all these different bottlenecks. So, and I think that this is, well, obviously this is the analogy, but there is, this is the type of scale that like businesses need to be able to operate compliantly, to be able to do daily reporting and daily reconciliation. And without this, you can't do anything. So this is just like a way kind of to brag, but this is also like a very, very important primitive that you need for businesses to operate compliantly with the same standards in the traditional world. And there's a bunch of other things also that this new tech primitives like enable, like accounting operations and reporting also. And yeah, speed enables scale. So if you can do things faster, you can do more things. And coming back on the data ingestion side, there is these new primitives as well as another product that Justin, we're gonna tell you a word about, enables us to process a super high volume of transactions, like more than 1 billion. And this is made possible with this product that we call, this feature that we call batching engine, which allow you to batch a super high volume of transactions within the system, so that basically you can keep super like the highest level of granularity while being able to operate and do heavy computations on all these transactions. Maybe Justin, if you come on stage.
Hey.
So we've been working with Uniswap for like a year and a half now, I think, something like this, and we've seen recently that like the volume of transactions that are happening have really increased. Maybe can you give us a little bit more context, like why this happened, and maybe obviously like tell us a little bit more about how you've been using this like batching engine.
Sure. Yeah. So this past year has been a really eventful year for Uniswap Labs. We went from charging 0 fees on our interface to charging fees on all the tokens and all the transactions that go through the interface. So it's been a boon for us from a revenue perspective. We're able to create a sustainable business. We're able to focus on research and development and continuing to develop innovative products, but it also has its own operational challenges as well.
And yeah, we've seen that. I remember the day where you call us and we say, hey, like we're changing the rules.
Yeah.
And so it's not like, before it was 3 or 5 tokens, something like this, or maybe just USDC, I don't remember. And then you moved from like 3 to 5 to like infinite number of tokens.
That's right. That's right. So like this time last year, when we first turned on the fees, we were charging fees on a short list of tokens. It's 12 tokens, mostly stable coins or Ether, wrapped Bitcoin. And the main problem there was layer 2 ingestion. And Cryptio did a great job of kind of solving that for us. But April of this year is when we kind of turned on fees for all tokens. So we went from 12 tokens to 5,000 plus tokens across 9 blockchains. And our daily, monthly transaction volume went from 200,000 a month to almost 4 million a month. Yeah. And that was unsustainable. This is crazy. So I think when that happened, we went to Antoine and his team. It was like, hey, what's the solution here? Like, we don't want to just throw more heads at it because that's really inefficient. Is there like a technology solution we can look into here? And your team, your tech team really worked closely with us to kind of create this batching engine that you're talking about here. And it's been really great. So basically, this batching engine kind of ingests all this data and then kind of consolidates it on a daily basis. So we go from 4 million transactions a month to back to the hundreds of thousands. So the number of transactions is less, so it makes our process more efficient. But also we're able to kind of look into the transaction level detail if needed. So it kind of retains all the original data, so we can kind of plug into it at a later point. Yep.
Great. Thank you very much.
Yeah, sure.
And I think this is like a great example of also where we were discussing with Jeremy, which is it's not just about like building products and people using it. Is also about hearing like the different challenges that our customers have and companies in this space have, and really sit down and build solution that can only work for these customers, but also work for like the broader industry. So this batching engine is actually a very good example of that. And the third pillar, and then I'm done. The third pillar is compliance. So reconciliation, scalability, and obviously compliance. This third generation of our product is really meant for regulated enterprise, and so obviously the compliance element becomes very important. And when it comes to compliance, the idea is not to do just like a Mika tool or like a Vara tool. You need to build customizable tooling that customers can use to basically report and comply in different jurisdictions, but also through different use cases. It's not just like one solution fits all. And so what we've been doing, what we're releasing with this new generation of product is a bunch of tools on the reporting side of things that companies can leverage to basically comply with the new regulations, or new or existing regulations that are now applying to crypto company in various jurisdictions. So it could be Mika in Europe, it could be Vara in UAE, it could be Payment Services Act in Singapore. So, and in order to, we've basically spent the last year and a half working with all our customers that are being regulated and build these reporting capabilities that can help them be compliant with their local regulations. So we basically make it easier to comply with the reporting standards needed for these crucial licenses. We're supposed to have Sami from Transact on stage but he could not make it at the last minute. But basically, Transact is like a leading on and off ramp company, and they've been growing into a lot of different jurisdictions. And when you're going into all these different jurisdictions with different set of rules and different types of licenses that you need to comply with, being able to grow your back office capabilities and build reporting and also trust to the different stakeholders into these different jurisdictions is really tough. And so we did a lot of work with Sami and his team to build these different reporting tools so that they can comply with MTL. Like if I get the MTL license in the US, find the different states in the US, as well as Mika in Europe. So he's not here. You have to trust me. If you want to verify, you can call him. But basically, yeah, enterprise need the right tooling and the expertise to lead and drive these businesses and report with confidence. And this is basically what we've been doing. And the last thing is a lot of this transition and these builds around like building more reportings and more tooling to help companies report and comply with these regulations. A lot of this also comes from the work that we're doing with KPMG. We announced a few months ago a global alliance with KPMG, and we're extremely pleased to work with the entire team there and really sit down and look at these different regulatory frameworks that go on these different jurisdictions and make sure that what we're building with our customers meet these requirements and meet basically what is written on all these hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pages. So yeah, it's been great working with KPMG, and they are really at the core of this move to make crypto evolve to help companies report compliantly. And so yeah, I think that a new era of financial integrity has begun, and obviously we aim to play a big part in it. And so we're excited to release that today. And if you have any questions, anything, feel free to come to me, anyone in the team, and we'll be happy to tell you more. Thanks for sticking to it, and thank you very much.